Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a black and red nail art design, as I thought with it coming up to Halloween it was the perfect time to do a black and red ombre. We're also going to be doing a really cool effect with foils as well, so I hope you all enjoy watching. Now for our black and red I've chosen a classic black from the Hema free range, and then we are also going to be using ruby red too because she is one of my absolute favorite reds. So jumping into the application, I am working on top of press on nails, so I have buffed these to remove the shine, as that's usually advisable when you're applying gel polish over the top of them, as it ensures that they're going to adhere nicely to the press on surface. If you're working on top of natural nails, you would need to do all of your prep and base coat before coming in with your color, but on top of press-ons you don't need to apply a base coat, so that's why I've skipped that step. Now when it comes to applying a black gel polish, it is one of the hardest or harder colors in my opinion to apply because it's super pigmented. You do need to make sure that you're applying it nice and thin so that you don't have any curing issues. A lot of the time if you apply your black too thick it will wrinkle when it goes into your light to cure, or it won't cure sufficiently and you'll suffer with pitting or peeling of the gel polish. So always keep your highly pigmented colors super thin, and as you can see this one is super pigmented. The other thing that I find hard about applying black gel polish is that if you get it on the skin or the cuticles it can stain, so you have to really give it a good wipe off. So it's one of those colors that you've got to be super careful with when it comes to application, and also because it's black it really stands out if you make any mistakes with it. So although I don't have the most perfect application with it, one of my tips would be to really take your time with it and to work with only a small amount of product on your brush when you are working with it as well, because the less product you've got on your brush the more control you have over how you're applying your product. Now I'm just applying this to the pointer and little finger, as these are going to be two of the nails that we're going to be doing that foil effect on. Another tip when working with black gel polish, or when working with any gel polish to be quite honest, I will always have either my stripe liner brush or my detail brush beside me, because I can use these to get a really good close cuticle application. And I will also always have either my round or my angled nail art brush beside me for cleanup. So today I've got my round one and I'll just pop a little bit of alcohol on this, and as you can see I'm using it to clean up. But like I said with black it's a little bit more stubborn, so you do have to go in a couple of times to really make sure you remove any from the skin or cuticles before curing. So we've done 2 coats of that and it is absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I've wore black on my nails in a very long time. So on to the ombres, I'm going to take my ombre brush of course, and I'm going to come in with ruby red at the cuticle area, and then we're going to be using the same classic black at the tip of the nail. So I'm starting off just applying ruby red, getting a nice neat cuticle line, getting as close to the side walls and the edge of the nail as possible, and then I'm taking this roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail, because I know that the black is going to be more overpowering than the red. I want to make sure that we've got enough space to create that transition, so that's why I've brought the red ever so slightly further down, and then I'm going to push my black up into it so that these 2 colors meet. And it is really important that you get the 2 colors to meet. So I've done it there with my black brush, so you do need to check your brush before you pop it back in your bottle that you haven't picked up any of the previous color, and then we're going to start blending these 2 colors together. Now I have been avoiding doing a black and red design, or an ombre sorry, because I feel as though it's one of the harder colors, 2 colors to ombre, because they're both quite pigmented and black can be quite hard to ombre into anything, but this did go a little bit better than I was expecting. I really took my time and made sure that I was spending a lot of time working on that blend. Now same as when I'm doing any ombre, I will blend where the 2 colors meet and create a transitional shade, and then blend that transitional shade into each of the colors. So on my first coat I don't stress too much about creating a perfect blend. We're going to fix that up on the second coat. With the first coat of color you're not actually going to really be seeing that blend, you're going to see the blend on the second coat. So you kind of just want to practice with it in a way so you know how hard it's going to be to get the blend on the second coat. And you want to get it as neat as you can, but I just wouldn't spend too long stressing getting that perfect blend. One, because it's the first coat and you've not got the full opacity, and two, like I said, you're not going to see it. So we'll talk more about creating a great blend on the second coat. So whilst I'm working on the second nail, what I'm letting the first nail do is I'm letting the gel polish settle. So I haven't cured it yet. So what this is going to mean is any brush strokes that you put into the gel polish when you're working with your ombre brush, by letting it settle for a few seconds, it's going to minimize those brush strokes, but it also just helps all of the colors melt together and create a really soft blend. So I'm just leaving that now whilst I'm working on the second nail. If you're only doing one ombre nail in a design, again, just leave it for a few seconds whilst you're working on one of the other nails before curing. So we're doing exactly the same on the ring finger, as I did want to get a bit of ombre practice in for these two colors, and I wanted to see if I got better on the ring finger after doing the middle finger. So again, exactly the same technique, just blend, blend, blend. Once you've created that transitional shade, you'll see here, I just blended that transitional shade into the black, cleaned off my brush, and then blended into the red. Now I'm working quite quickly with my brush, but the video is sped up, so I'm working a lot quicker in the video than what I am in real life. And you do see that I touch my skin in a few places. This is because it's a lot harder when you're working on yourself to pull back the skin from the nail. If you are working on a client, you'll use one hand and you can pull back the skin from the nail plate. This exposes the nail plate a lot more, but it gives you a lot more freedom when working with your ombre brush. But obviously this is a little bit trickier when you are working on yourself. So on to the second coat, where we're going to focus more on creating a nice blend. I'm applying the colors exactly the same as before. So bringing that red 3/4 of the way down the nail, just past that halfway line, and then pushing the black up into it. If the two colors touch and meet, you'll create that transitional shade a lot easier in the middle, because you haven't got to start dragging the color up, it's already there. So I'm starting off by taking my ombre brush, going backwards and forwards and creating a mix between the red and the black. And what I'm doing here, whenever you see my brush go out of shot, is I'm cleaning my brush off on one of the Kiki London alcohol wipes. This is just so that you're keeping the amount of product you've got on your brush to a minimum, because this helps when creating the blend, and it also minimizes you accidentally taking the black up into the red. So now that we've created that transitional shade, what I'm starting to do is to blend that center transitional shade into the red. So you'll see here, I'm just working it in so there's not a harsh line again between the transitional shade meets the red. And then the same here, I'm taking it down into that black a little bit more, because even though the black is darker, you can still see where that transitional shade is. So I'm blending that out a little bit more. And then once I've sort of done that step, created the transitional shade and blended that in, what I'll then do is just start looking at the ombre from the center and the sides, really start looking at how it's blended together, and then if needed, I will go back in and just blend any areas that might need a little bit more blend in. And then of course, I'm going to do the same as before, let the brush strokes settle in that nail, let everything just self-level out. The Kiki London gel polishes do self-level absolutely beautifully. And obviously when you've done something like an ombre, you're messing up that leveling, you're pushing the products around. So by giving it a few seconds to self-level, you're still going to get that super smooth finish that you would when you're just applying a regular 2 coats of gel polish color. But again, it's going to minimize those brush strokes. And a lot of the time, I think that's what people struggle with when they're doing a gel polish ombre with a ombre brush. They pop the nail straight into cure, and then they'll be asking why there's the brush strokes there or how to get rid of the brush strokes. You can minimize the amount of brush strokes you're putting into your gel polish by just working a little bit gentler with your brush. You don't want to be pulling the product off, you want to be blending it together. So nice gentle strokes. Like I said, the video sped up, so I look as though I'm working a lot harsher than what I am. But if you work with nice gentle strokes, you will still get a few brush strokes, but there won't be too many. But if you just leave the nail to settle for a few seconds, they will all self-level out, and then once you come in and top coat, you shouldn't be able to see any. So we've done exactly the same again on the ring finger, and I was really pleased with how these two nails looked. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any ombre tips and tricks, do share them in the comments below, because it's very nice to have a community here on YouTube where we can all share what works for us, because sometimes what works for one person, it doesn't always work for another. On to the thumbnail, I'm going to come in and apply the gorgeous ruby red to the entire nail. We are going to be doing the same foil effect on this nail, but I wanted to do it over a red base and over the black base to see how it looked. And I loved how it looked quite different, especially when we come in and apply the jelly black over the top. But I preferred it over the black base, but I did want to just include it over the red as well so you guys can see the difference. Now, if you don't already have ruby red in your collection, it is a must-have. Not only is it the perfect red for Halloween because it gives off really bloody red vibes, it is brilliant at Christmas time as well because it is just your classic red. I love this shade. It's probably my personal favorite red from the Kiki collection. So I've done 2 coats of that, curing each coat for 30 seconds, and then we have all of our bases done. I'm ready to come in and do a little bit of foil art. So for our foils, I'm going to use the foil gel, and then I'm using a box 3. I believe this is called the Holographic coloured foils, but I'll double check and leave it linked in the description box below. So I've picked out the red one, of course, and then we're going to come in and apply our foil gel. So I'm just applying a thin coat of this over over all 3 of those nails. So over the pointer, the little finger, and the thumbnail. And you want to keep your foil gel on the thin side. You don't want to apply this too thickly, as then it won't cure properly and you might have issues applying your foils. They won't sort of grab on. You do only need a thin coat of it, and I like to always apply it to the entire nail, or wherever. If I'm applying foils over the entire nail, I'll apply the foil gel to the entire nail, but it gives you a nice even surface and you're not going to have any unevenness when you come and top coat. So what I'm going to do after I've cured my foil gel, I'm going to take my piece of foil, but I'm going to scrunch it up because I want quite a textured effect. I don't want to get a full coverage with the foil, and with these foils they grab onto the foil gel super easily, so it's very easy to get full coverage with them, and I wanted to make sure you could still see some of that black coming through them. So that's why I've scrunched it up to help get that textured effect, and then I'm just very, very lightly pressing it on to the foil gel, because if you apply too much pressure, instead of getting that broken textured effect, you'll get a full-on full coverage effect, which is beautiful if you're going for that look. But for this look, I still wanted to be able to see both the black and the red underneath the foil, just to help create that really dimensional look to the nails. So now, to take this up a notch and go a little bit more Halloween vibes, what we're going to do is take classic black on our palette, and I'm also going to take some of the Hema free base coat as well and mix these 2 together to create a jelly black. Now obviously black is very, very pigmented, so you're going to need less of the black than you are the clear base coat. If you don't want to do this with base coat, you can also do it with a top coat, but I do prefer to use base coat because I find it helps have something. It's got quite a tack to the base coat once it's cured, so it helps your top coat have something to grab onto. So I'm giving this a really, really good mix together because you want to make sure there's no streakiness, no marbling between the classic black and the base coat. So we're giving it a really, really good mix using the round nail art brush, and I'm going to also use this to apply it to the nail. And then what we're going to do is we're going to paint this over the entire nail. Now I do actually end up doing this in 2 coats because I decided I actually needed a little bit more black in the mix. Even though the black is obviously more pigmented, I did 1 coat, and then especially over the red nail I thought, you know what, it just needs a hint of more black. So we're going to go in and do 1 coat over all of the nails, and it created this really beautiful hidden foil look. It takes some of the brightness away from the red foils, but gives it just a really, really pretty finish. I can't explain it, but I absolutely loved it, especially over those 2 black nails. But I liked the way here it toned down the red a lot because it was giving a bit more of a Christmassy than a Halloween vibe on the thumbnail. So we're going to pop that first coat of this mix in to cure for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to come in and just add a smidge more black to that mix we've already got on the palette, again giving it a really, really good mix so you've got no streakiness or marbling. You want to make sure you've got a nice even color that you can put over the top. And I tested it out on the red first of all, and I loved it. It just give off a super gothic Valentine's, super gothic Halloween vibes. So we're just going to pop a thin coat of this over the entire nail, and then I'll do exactly the same on the pointer and the little finger as well. And I really loved this. I kind of was a little bit gutted that I didn't come in and add some crystals onto these 2 nails as well. I completely didn't think, and I've been trying to push myself and add crystals into a lot more of my sets, and I really wished I'd added some red and clear crystals around the cuticles on the pointer and little finger. I might have to do it, just add it to the set anyway. So we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds as well, and then Because we've done quite a bit of layering on those 3 nails, I did just come in with my buffer and fix up the tips, just because I'd lost that sharp shape a little bit. It'd gone a little bit rounded. So if you are going to do this, I personally prefer to do it with my buffer rather than a file, because you don't really want to take too much off. You just want to crisp up those edges, and it's always advisable to do it before top coating as well, so that you're not going to be causing any chipping, because if you did it after top coating, you're not going to have that nice seal around the tip of the nail, so then you're more prone to chipping and peeling. So if you are going to do this, yeah, do it before your top coating. I did also just give the nails a wipe over with some alcohol, just to remove any dust that had been caused from buffing the tips. And then we are ready to come in and top coat. So I'm top coating today using the No Wipe rubber top coat. This is my go-to when I'm wearing nails on myself, because I am quite rough and hard on my nails, and the rubber top coat, with it being a little bit thicker and having the rubber properties to it, it is great for anyone who is like myself and quite heavy-handed. It's also great if you're applying it on the natural nails or over builder gel, because it's going to help strengthen anyone's nails who have got quite weak or brittle nails. It works brilliantly with the rubber bases to create a complete rubber system. So once I'd applied that to all of the nails, I popped that in to cure finally for a full 60 seconds, and this is the finished result. Just look how gorgeous these look. I absolutely loved them. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My daughter said that they gave off the Vampire Diaries vibes, which I absolutely love that show, so I was quite impressed with that comment. Anyway, we're then going to come in and apply our cuticle oil. I'm just going to give this a really good rub in, and then usually I'll wipe off any excess from my nails with a little bit of alcohol, but I forgot to do that, which does bring back the shine, because obviously the cuticle oil can make the shine look a little bit dull, but they look absolutely beautiful. I really loved how this set of nails turned out, and I especially loved how well the ombre went. So if you are fearing black and red ombre, then don't fear it, just give it a go, and just remember, blend, 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 and you'll get there. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment below, and hit that subscription button if you haven't already. Do check out the description box below as well, as I will leave all the products I've used linked there. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.